Going on, my dudes? This is Math Time with Mr. G, and today we're going to talk about this equation: y is equal to mx plus b. So it's best to actually read this backwards. B is where we begin all of our equations. The fancy math word for it is y-intercept. X is going to be our input. This is what we have control of. M is how much we are going to move from the beginning. But the fancy math word for this is slope. And then Y is our output. It's the answer to how much hours we put in, how much money we should get. This is the dependent. How to solve these, though, is we have to create this thing called a coordinate plane. Coordinate plane is two lines crossing each other like this. The up and down line we call the y-axis. The cross line is the x-axis. So how this works is the very middle of where these cross is called the origin. And from the origin, again, we're reading backwards, so this 2 is where I begin. And because it's a y equals problem, we start on the y-axis at 2. So this means go up 1, 2, make a dot. So that's our first number being used, is at plus 2. From the dot we just drew, we are going to count up one more. And then this number right here tells us how much to move to the right. 1, 2, 3. So I started at 2. I went up 1 and then over 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make a second dot. And I draw a line connecting those two dots. So to start again, I make a coordinate plane. It says to start at plus 4, so from the origin, I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's my first dot. Now it says negative 1. So from the dot, I'm going to count down 1, and then always to the right. Even though this is negative, the bottom part always tells us to move to the right. Over 2. And there's my second dot. And I draw a line connecting the two dots that I just made. Again, I make a coordinate plane. This says negative 1. So from the origin, I'm going to count down 1 and make a dot. This doesn't have a fraction, so we have to make it a fraction, so I'm going to put the number 1 under it. From the dot we drew, it says count up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So count the origin when you're counting. So up 4, to the right, 1. There's my second dot. And then I draw a line through it with arrows. Again, I'm going to make a coordinate plane. This says to start at plus 2. And then this has to be a fraction, so I'm going to put a 1 under it. So from the dot I drew, it says negative. So count down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over 1.
Mr. Gardner? Mr. Gardner?